Tonight, Delta State employees say new deductions strain take-home pay amid rising deductions. Asaba residents applaud Governor Sheriff Oboriwori's crackdown on illegal firearms. Asaba residents question impact of federal government reforms on cost of living. President Bola Tinubu Erdogan said $5 billion trade target, signed 9 bilateral agreements. Good evening. Welcome to the Delta Television Main News. You can follow our news online on Facebook and YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or you can visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. Joy Uche is my name. The implementation of the new tax laws by the federal government has continued to generate mixed reactions among workers across the state. Many said the new deductions have added pressure to already stretched incomes. A correspondent, Henry Onogwa, went round the state capital to feel the pulse of workers on the impact.
Nigeria recently overhauled its tax system with the introduction of 4 major laws: the Nigerian Tax Act, the Nigerian Tax Administration Act, the Nigerian Revenue Service Act, and the Joint Revenue Board Act. The laws, signed in 2025, came into full effect on January 1, 2026. Some respondents said deductions from their salaries have increased since the new tax law took effect, worsening the financial pressure they faced amid the rising cost of living.
We have a lot of foodstuff like rice, which the prices have come down. Even some other areas of the foodstuff, the prices have come down.
I couldn't lay hand on what I'm supposed to get at the end of the month. So there is no how it reduces the inflation, it worsens it. If it's possible, they should stop the tax.
Others acknowledged that taxation was important for national development, but argued that the timing of the policy was wrong.
9,000 naira, we're already blaming, we're already shouting that the 9,000 naira is even too much. Now you are deducting 17,000 plus out of the salary. How much is the salary? We have family, we have to feed. House rent is there, everything is there. It's not fair.
They increased our pension deduction higher than what they used to collect before. Then the tax they are taxing before, they increase it times 2, times 3. Some of the people they tax more than their take home.
Some workers also expressed concern that the new deduction could negatively affect productivity, stressing that financial stress reduced their ability to perform effectively at work.
You're not working the way we are. You come to work now, you're not happy. But you have to come to work just because of your righteousness. So it's not really helping at all.
Please, I would beg all civil servants, let's channel this cause to the proper authorities, that they should please look into it and reverse it.
We have a lot of foodstuff like rice, which the prices have come down. Even some other areas of the foodstuff, the prices have come down. But the fuel too has come down, because we are buying fuel of 1,900, and now we are buying that fuel for 800 and something naira. But that does not still mean that there's still not inflation in the country.
They called on the government to review the deductions and introduce measures to cushion their impact, urging a balance between revenue generation and economic well-being. Many workers are seeking clarification and the relief from what they describe as unexpected salary adjustments. For Delta TV, I am Henry Onogwa.
Residents in the state capital have reacted positively to Governor Sheriff Oboriwori's directive for security agencies to arrest and prosecute anyone found in possession of illegal firearms. The governor's move aimed at sustaining peace ahead of the 2027 general elections and has drawn praise from citizens, saying it was timely and necessary. A correspondent, Violet Moye, spoke to a cross-section of Asaba residents.
Some respondents welcomed the governor's directive saying it will strengthen security across the state if properly enforced.
I can tell you that an individual does not go to the market and go and buy gun. Those who buy are those who claim that they have a place in society, they need to protect themselves. But when they do, they also have responsibility to register the gun and say the purpose. Is it for hunting? Is it for self-defense? Approval is to be given before you carry gun.
Yes, it is a welcome idea. But the insecurity in the country and Delta, to a great extent, is worrisome. So, governor's directive that Commissioner of Police will direct his men to arrest anybody illegally carrying firearms. It's a welcome idea.
It's very good. So I commend Governor very well for that. So we need peace in our state.
Others noted that while crackdown on illegal firearms was important, it should be complemented with broader measures to tackle the root causes of insecurity.
They should carry out sensitization and mobilization, political sensitization and political mobilization to sensitize the youth of the need not to carry arms during the election.
There is no law in Nigeria that permits anybody to carry gun. And if police sees you, of course, you always answer for it. So for me, it's a law that has been existing that has not been enforced. The measure is to implement the law that has been existing.
While others who spoke stressed the need for close collaboration between security agencies, community leaders, and citizens, emphasizing that lasting peace required collective responsibility and active public participation.
With community leaders to talk to their people, help, because all of us are government. When we cooperate, this life, all those security, we will still help them more, not by only carrying gun.
They said Governor Oberewori's directive signaled a strong commitment to maintaining law and order, with authorities promising strict enforcement as the 2027 elections approached. Residents said the governor's tough warning is welcome, but they want to see real and consistent enforcement. As the state moves closer to the 2027 elections, many believe lasting peace will depend on action, not just assurances. For Delta Television, I am Violet Moyi reporting.
As the federal government rolled out economic reforms aimed at stabilizing prices and easing the cost of living, many Nigerians have continued to ask a critical question: have these measures reduced inflation? Eunice Emeazia sampled opinions of residents of Asaba, the state capital.
The Tinubu administration has introduced major market-based economic reforms, including the removal of petrol subsidy, unification of foreign exchange windows, banking recapitalization, and the introduction of a new tax law. Some residents of Asaba acknowledged that the reforms have boosted government revenue, citing increased FAC allocations, but noted that it was still too early to determine their real impact on inflation.
On face, on paper, these economic reforms look like they mean well. So we just have to wait and see if his implementation will yield results or not. But I think it's too early to determine that.
Others argued that visible improvement should already be evident, expressing concern that the promises of reducing debt, attracting foreign investment, stabilizing the economy, and curbing inflation appeared good on paper, while in reality, households continue to grapple with rising costs across markets, offices, and transport routes.
Some days on the stock market, they tell you Naira has gained massively, but if you check the difference compared to how fast it lost in the stock market, you see that there is really not much difference.
Ordinarily, it's supposed to have been like a relief. If you go to the market now, they're ordinarily increasing price of things under the pretext of tax has increased.
We would say you have made more money in recent times, but then what you will buy with that money you have made, it is not, if you do a comparative cost analysis, you see that you are spending more money to get fewer goods.
The respondents said that for inflation to be drastically reduced or eliminated, government must strengthen local manufacturing and expand oil refining capacity as well as provide jobs. They noted that the true test of the reforms will be seen when prices fall and purchasing power improves.
Tax reform cannot fix inflation. What to fix inflation now is if we can rely on our domestic production and refining of our raw materials. So inflation is directly tied to our manufacturing power and our refining power of our raw materials.
So I think there should be more of NOA, National Orientation Agency, would have to do a whole lot of work in sensitizing people, the CBN, federal government generally. And then in the long run, it all boils down to creating jobs.
If you are going to tax citizens, you should make sure that you have provided for jobs. This will in turn attract investors, which will in turn favor the economy because now money is coming in. But most of these policies, if you see them, they don't really favor businesses. So, and it drives investors away. In fact, Nigerian security is one of the major talks on the international platform now. So, I feel starting from security alone is enough reform.
Eunice Emeazia reporting.
The State Orientation and Communications Bureau has commended the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) Delta State Command for intercepting 2 buses conveying illicit drugs along the Asaba-Onitsha Expressway. The interception, which took place in January, was described by the state government as a major breakthrough in the fight against drug trafficking along the busy corridor. In a statement issued on Wednesday, Director General of the State Bureau, Dr. Fred Olenisere, reaffirmed Governor Sheriff Oborewori's commitment to the drug-free Delta campaign in collaboration with the NDLEA. The statement urged the agency to ensure diligent investigation and prosecution of the suspects arrested in connection with the seizure. The statement noted that the suspects, identified as 25-year-old Zaharaddin Yahaya and 23-year-old Sanusi Maman, were intercepted with a large quantity of illicit substance. It noted the recovered items to include over 410,000 pills of tramadol, 84.2 liters of codeine syrup, more than 82,000 tablets of diazepam, 900 tablets of Swinol, and 65 pills of Molly, which are an estimated street value of about 300 million naira. The the state government also praised the state's NDLEA commander, Mr. Halilu Hamidu, and his team, calling for intensified intelligence-driven operations to curb drug trafficking, illegal retailing, and street hawking. The statement added that drug abuse fueled crimes such as kidnapping, armed robbery, rape, and other social vices, calling for a collective responsibility that requires strong parenting and promotion of positive moral values. The need for staff of Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba to uphold professionalism, responsibility, and inclusiveness in content creation to effectively inform, educate, and entertain the people has been re-emphasized. The General Manager of Delta Broadcasting Service, DBS Asaba, Mrs. Christine Jobome Emetulu, stated these are the station's annual program planning conference with the staff. Henry Osiayo reports.
Declaring the conference open, Mrs. Jobome Emetulu described program planning as essential to producing audience-focused content in line with the state government's more agenda. Mrs. Emetulu reiterated that DBS Asaba must adapt to the changing media environment, noting that quality content will strengthen public trust, increase patronage, and boost revenue. She noted that the station could not afford to remain static in a rapidly evolving media landscape, urging the staff to embrace innovation.
Now, as a state broadcast organization, our programs must continue to support the vision and the agenda of the state government. Talking about the more agenda by promoting inclusive development, amplifying opportunities for our people, encouraging positive reforms, fostering peace, fostering unity and social cohesion across the state. The theme for the year 2026 is professional, responsible, and inclusive broadcasting.
Earlier, the Director of Programs, Mrs. Maureen Eluku, said a well-planned program remained the backbone of effective broadcasting and must align with government policies. She emphasized the need for proper research before dissemination and called for a review of the station's performance over the past year.
So it's indeed important for us to plan. We did plan last year. So this year we're going to look at what we did with what we planned last year. How well did we fare with the programs we planned last year? Do we have reason or reasons to tune up some programs? Is there any reason to drop failing programs that have failed consistently? Is there need for new programs? My answer is yes, of course.
The conference brought together management and staff of DBS Asaba to review operations and chart a stronger programming direction. The 2026 Program Planning Conference of the DBS Asaba is charting a forward-looking course for the station, and staff has been urged to uphold professionalism, responsibility, and inclusiveness in all programs. Henry Usiayu reporting.
The federal government has unveiled plans to deploy military veterans to help secure the country's ungoverned spaces as part of efforts to strengthen national security and boost economic activities in conflict-affected areas. The plan followed the inauguration of an 18-member committee by the Minister of Defense, retired General Christopher Musa. The committee was tasked with reclaiming ungoverned spaces for economic viability and repositioning the Nigerian Legion Corps of commissioners and veterans. A statement issued on Wednesday by the Ministry of Defense says the committee was inaugurated on Tuesday at the ministry's headquarters in Abuja. Speaking at the inauguration, General Musa said the deployment of military veterans into ungoverned spaces would complement ongoing military operations. He explains that the initiative will bring experienced and disciplined personnel into local security and development efforts, especially in areas where government presence remained weak. The Defense Minister was represented at the event by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Mr. Richard Filangwa. He added that securing the areas was critical to restoring economic activities, improving livelihoods, and strengthening overall national stability. The federal government has taken a major step towards easing the country's 4 trillion naira power sector debt burden as 5 power generation companies signed settlement agreements under the Presidential Power Sector Debt Reduction Program, boosting investor confidence in the electricity markets. The agreements followed issuance of a 501 billion naira bond, which was fully subscribed at its launch in Lagos on Tuesday. The bond attracted strong interest from pension funds, commercial banks, asset managers, and other institutional investors, signaling renewed confidence in the federal government's power sector reforms and debt resolution strategy. Driven by President Bola Tinubu, the program was designed to clear long-standing payment arrears owed to power generation companies for electricity supplied over the past decades. Industry analysts say the legacy debts had constrained liquidity, weakened balance sheets, and discouraged fresh investment across the Nigerian electricity supply industry. Speaking at the signing ceremony, the managing director of the Nigeria Bulk Electricity Trading PLC, Johnson Akinawu, described the program as historic intervention capable of unlocking new capital, stabilizing the sector, and improving long-term sustainability. Meanwhile, the federal government says the national grid has been fully restored following a partial collapse yesterday, the second incident within 4 days. The Nigerian Independent System Operator, NISO, confirmed that electricity supply across affected areas has returned to normal. According to NISO, the disturbance originated from the Gombe transmission substation and spread to Jeber, Kanji, and Ayede substations, causing some transmission lines and generating units to trip. The agency clarified that the situation did not amount to a total grid failure, and corrective measures were deployed immediately to stabilize the network. Power has now been fully restored, with authorities monitoring the system to prevent further disruptions. President Bola Tinubu and Turkish President Recep Erdogan have agreed to pursue a $5 billion trade volume between Nigeria and Turkey following the signing of 9 bilateral agreements covering defense, trade, energy, education, and media cooperation. The agreement came during President Tinubu's state visit to Ankara, where both leaders discussed the strengthening economic and diplomatic ties between the two countries. President Erdogan said the creation of a joint economy and trade committee will help expand Turkish investments in Nigeria and fast-track the $5 billion trade target. He also commended the country's energy sector reforms, pledging Turkey's support in Nigeria's fight against terrorism, especially through military training and intelligence sharing amidst growing security challenges in the Sahel region. President Tinubu welcomed Turkey's collaboration, emphasizing the need to build an inclusive economy, reaffirming Nigeria's commitment to peace and stability across Africa. The agreements signed included defense cooperation, diaspora policy, education and media, halal quality infrastructure, and social services. Still to come on the Delta Television main news, President Bola Tinubu Erdogan set $5 billion trade target, signed 9 bilateral agreements. Details shortly. Stay with us. Thank you for staying on. If you're just joining us, you're watching the Delta Television main news. Let's join our World News Desk for stories from the global scene.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has condemned the Russian drone attack on a passenger train in the Kharkiv region, calling it an act of terrorism. Officials say about 5 people were killed and several others injured when one carriage was hit and 2 other drones exploded nearby, adding that over 200 passengers were on board at the time. President Zelensky said 18 people were in the targeted carriage and stressed there was no military justification for attacking civilians. Russia has not commented on the incident, but the country has stepped up drone and missile strikes on Ukraine's energy and transport infrastructure during one of the harshest winters in years. The attack has drawn international condemnation, highlighting ongoing tensions and the humanitarian toll in Ukraine. French President Emmanuel Macron has invited his Chadian counterpart, President Mahamat Dabi, to Paris as both countries aim to improve and renew their future relations. The invitation was conveyed verbally by France's ambassador to Chad, Eric Gerald, during a meeting at the presidential palace in N'Djamena on Monday. Chad's presidency confirmed that President Deby accepted the invitation, though no date had been announced for the visit. The development comes after a sharp downturn in Franco-Chadian military relations following Chad's abrupt termination of its defense agreement with France in November 2024. The visit will be a potential step towards restoring diplomatic and military cooperation between the two countries.
The landing cost of imported premium motor spirits petrol has dropped below the gantry price offered by the Dangote Petroleum Refinery following the refinery's latest price increase, a development with implications for pricing competition in Nigeria's downstream oil sector. Data from the Major Energies Marketers Association of Nigeria showed that the landing cost of imported petrol stood at 728 naira 88 kobo per litre as of last week. However, on Monday night, the Dangote Petroleum Refinery raised its gantry price of petrol from 699 naira to 799 naira per litre. The increase placed Dangote's gantry price at about 70 naira higher than the current landing cost of imported petrol. Following the adjustment, the refinery announced that MRS filling stations will now sell petrol at 839 naira per litre. Checks on Tuesday confirmed that MRS stations had increased pump prices from 739 naira on Monday to 839 naira per litre, in line with the refinery's new pricing. Industry watchers say the price gap could influence marketers' sourcing decisions and reshape competition between locally refined fuel and imported supplies in the coming weeks. The Central Bank of Nigeria has approved a temporary window allowing importers to use expired National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control licenses for import documentation, offering short-term relief to businesses affected by system changes in Nigeria's trade processing framework. In a circular issued on January 26, 2026 by its Trade and Exchange Department and published on the bank's website, the CBN said authorized dealer banks may continue to process Form M applications with NAFDAC licenses that expired on December 31, 2025. The approval, which takes effect immediately, will run for 2 months and lapse on February 28, 2026. The Apex Bank explains that the approval followed a temporary dispensation granted by NAFDAC and applies strictly to Form M processing during the period. It said the measure was necessitated by operational challenges linked to the migration from the legacy Nigeria Integrated Customs Information System 2 platform. According to the CBN, importers have been unable to validate or renew NAFDAC licenses since the transition, especially due to difficulties encountered on the B-Odogu platform after December 2025. Cape Verdean official Leonidas Lenin has been appointed to referee the CAF Champions League Group A clash between Nigeria's Rivers United and Zambia's Power Dynamos. The match day 4 encounter will be played on Sunday at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo, where both sides will be desperate for a positive result as the group stage reaches a crucial phase. The aggressor will be supported by a team of fellow West African officials. Delgado Fernandez Wilson Joke, also from Cape Verde, will act as assistant referee 1, while Guinea-Bissau's Ricardo Oliveira Sanka has been named assistant referee 2. Another Guinea-Bissau official, Aldier Also-Lupsgap, will serve as the 4th official for the fixture. Rivers United head into the game under pressure, still in search of their first victory in this season's CAF Champions League campaign. The Pride of Rivers held Dynamo Spa to a goalless draw in last weekend's match day 3 meeting, a result that left both teams with little room for error going forward. After 3 matches, Finidi George's side sits 3rd in Group A with just 1 point, making Sunday's return leg a must-win encounter if the Port Harcourt club are to revive their hopes of processing to the knockout stage. Power Dynamas, on the other hand, will be aiming to build on their defensive solidity from the first meeting and push for a result away from home, knowing that a positive outcome in Uyo could significantly boost their qualification chances. With experienced officials appointed and high stakes for both teams, the Uyo showdown promises to be a tense and closely contested affair. That's our news. Here's a thought for the day. No matter the circumstances, you decide who you become. That's our news. Just before we go, here are the highlights. The implementation of the new tax laws by the federal government has continued to generate mixed reactions among workers across the state. Many said the new deductions have added pressure to already stretched incomes. Residents in the state capital have reacted positively to Governor Sheriff Oborevwori's directive for security agencies to arrest and prosecute anyone found in possession of illegal firearms. As the federal government rolled out economic reforms aimed at stabilizing prices and easing the cost of living, many Nigerians have continued to ask a critical question: have these measures reduced inflation? And we also reported President Bola Tinubu and Turkish President Recep Erdogan have agreed to purse a $5 billion trade volume between Nigeria and Turkey, following the signing of 9 bilateral agreements covering defense, trade, energy, education, and media cooperation. That's our news. You can also follow our news online on Facebook and on YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or you can visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the entire news crew, Joy Uche is smiling. Good night.